Welcome to today's episode of Flight of Freedom, which is going to be all about how to show up for yourself, which is a hugely important part of recovery. But before we go into today's episode, I just wanted to do a little bit of a self-publicize, really, just to let you know I've had a couple of clients come to the end of their coaching with me in the last week or so, which has enabled me to open up 2 new slots for one-to-one coaching. So if that's something you are wanting to explore and to help yourself on the road to recovery, give me a shout and let's have a chat. Okay, so today's episode is a bit of a tough love episode, to be quite honest. Self-love isn't all about butterflies and rainbows and being gentle with yourself. Sometimes self-love is about giving yourself a firm talking to and a loving kick up the arse to essentially enable you to take the path that serves you best. So it's not sitting back and saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay that you're not taking these steps. Don't worry. It's not that at all. It is making yourself take the steps, knowing that it is for the greater good for you. So what I invite you to do is, first of all, to get a journal, a notebook, a pen. And even if you are the person, which is who I was, that said, oh no, I don't do journaling, it's not for me. I invite you to be open-minded about this, because it's not a Dear Diary kind of journaling. This is a getting clear on your future, on who you want to be, and on what's holding you back and what's getting in your way. So I invite you to, first of all, get a notebook, a journal. It doesn't need to be a dated thing. It doesn't need to be posh. It's essentially pen and paper that you can refer back to, that you can look at, and that you can really hammer out your details of what you want. And the first thing I invite you to do is to create the vision of what you want, of who you want to be, how you want to feel. Now, sometimes I know this can be really hard, and when I was in the eating disorder, I was like, I have no idea who I am without the eating disorder. And so I get it if you're like, well, I have no idea who I want to be. But you do know who you don't want to be. You do know the life you don't want to live. So start with that and start saying, okay, so I don't want to count every calorie from now on. So in that case, what you want is to live in freedom from counting calories. When you don't want to have to compensate for every bite you eat, you want to live in food freedom and eat whatever you want without worrying about compensation. So from the place of what you don't want, you can build a picture of what you do want. So that is step 1, is build your vision. Pen and paper, write it down. Don't just have it in your head. The power of putting pen to paper it's incredible. And I never believed it was like that until I did it. And then I discovered it gives you a clarity. It takes the power out of your head, takes the power out of the eating disorder, and lets you take hold of it and create it. My tea's too hot to drink. I can't drink it yet. So the next step, when you have got that vision, when you are clear on who you want to be, and give yourself time to do this, give yourself time to really get deep, go big, get clear on who you want to be, how you want to feel in life. Do you want to be able to be spontaneous? Do you want to be able to go on holidays without worrying about where the gym is, how much you're going to have time to exercise, what classes you're going to miss at your gym, what food is going to be served. Do you want to be just able to go with the flow and not worry about all that sort of thing? Do you want to live with less anxiety and just be able to be happy and not worrying about everything all the time? Do you want your brain to have space in it that's not filled with food thoughts and compensation and rules? So get really, really clear and give yourself time to do this. And when you've done that, then I want you to, again, with pen to paper, pretty much all of this episode is going to involve you having pen to paper. But start looking at what needs to happen for you to become that person. So what steps need to happen? For me, it was, I need to overcome my fear of weight gain. I need to nourish my body to have energy and freedom. And there's lots of steps. But I don't know what your vision is, but whatever your vision is, there are things that will need to happen for you to get there. So spend some time, again, giving yourself plenty of time to do this. Not just a hurried 5-minute job, right, what these steps, but really sit down and think about it. What needs to happen to take you from where you are now to where you want to be, to who you want to be? So when you've done that, when you've got there, I want you to then sit down and look at your excuses, the bullshit you're living in, that you are saying, yes, but I should. And what excuses are you giving yourself to stay stuck? And write them down. And there'll be many. There will be so many excuses because we're all full of them. And we all make excuses so that we don't have to feel the discomfort and feel the fear. So what are all the excuses you are giving yourself? Basically, become aware of your own bullshit. And that might sound harsh, but until you have the awareness, you can't do anything about it. So reflect regularly. Spend time every day reflecting on your experiences, your emotions, and your reactions, and write it down to help you articulate your thoughts and get insights into your behaviors and how you are getting in your own way to recovery. So once you have started to create this self-awareness and become aware of your own bullshit, of the stories you're telling yourself that are keeping you stuck, it's time to set yourself really clear boundaries. What behaviors are keeping you stuck and what are you available for? You know where you want to go. You know what has to happen for you to be there. And you've now become aware of the excuses that you're giving yourself. So now it's time to say, okay, I know I need to, let's say for me, I knew I needed to have 3 meals and 3 snacks in order to re-nourish my body, in order to become the woman I wanted to be, because she was not somebody that was sick and struggling with anorexia. So a clear rule, a clear boundary I had was I am not available to any other form of eating but 3 meals and 3 snacks. I will not have less than this. Regardless of the excuses and the fears and everything that comes up, this is one of my clear boundaries. I will have the 3 meals and 3 snacks in order to take me closer to the woman I want to be. So what are the rules, the boundaries you are going to give yourself to protect yourself from the bullshit you've been telling yourself and the excuses that are keeping you stuck. It could be, I will not go to the gym. I will allow myself to rest, even though it's really uncomfortable, even though I want to crawl out of my own skin. This is temporary, and this is my boundary. So what are the boundaries that you know you have to set for yourself to recover? And write them down. The next step is to practice self-care. And this means following your boundaries, honouring them. The self-care for me was to eat the 3 meals and the 3 snacks, come what may, regardless of how I felt, regardless of the digestive issues I got from eating the 3 meals and 3 snacks. Although in effect they weren't, they were from the eating disorder, from the not eating. They were a consequence of the illness, not of recovery. Because that's another thing we have to remember, isn't it? The hell that we go through in recovery isn't because of recovery. It's because we had the eating disorder in the first place. Recovery isn't the problem. It's the eating disorder. So what is your self-care? You've checked your boundaries, you've looked at them, you've written them down. So self-care for me was to have the 3 meals and 3 snacks, was to stop all exercise. Even though I'd gone from 7 days a week up to 8 hours a day, I went to nothing. And yeah, it was hard. But it was also possible. Spending time resting. So it's very, very easy to go from the gym and running and walking to constant low-level movement at home, to constantly cleaning, to constantly being busy, finding jobs, getting up, sitting down, getting up, sitting down. Just go, 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 go. Is that who you want to be? Do you want to be the person that does that? Or do you want to be the person that can actually sit down with a cup of tea and a book and just relax? So this is where you check back to who you want to be. And then you start to act as if you are that person. So if you want to be somebody that can sit and watch a whole movie, buy a cinema ticket, go and watch a whole movie and don't get up. And it might be really, really hard. It certainly was for me. But it got easier. So self-care takes practice. It doesn't necessarily come naturally because you're not used to giving it to yourself. Normally, we're all used to giving care and compassion and love to other people, but not ourselves. The person you have to spend your whole life with, the person you cannot get away from, is you. And whilst you may be used to being mean and putting yourself last and thinking everybody else has greater worth than you, how will you ever believe that you do have worth and that you do deserve it until you start showing yourself that you deserve it? The actions always come before the feelings. Actions create confidence. Confidence doesn't create actions. So even if it doesn't feel right, the actions will help those feelings change to the ones you want to have. The next step is to develop a growth mindset, to know that where you are in the eating disorder is not where you want to be, and to know that growth is a challenge, is uncomfortable. But you can view those challenges, those difficult times, as opportunities to learn and to grow. When something doesn't go right, because honestly, most people, not everyone, but most people who are living in a restrictive eating disorder have a bit of a perfectionistic mindset. And we all want the perfect recovery, right? We all want to do it perfectly, but there is no such thing. Not at all. So when things don't go as you want them to go, because there will be times that this happens, nobody is perfect. Recovery is never and will never be perfect. So when things don't work out, when you think you're failing, view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Don't let it knock you back and say, I can't do this. No, fuck that. What can you learn from this? How can you grow going forwards? How can you take this thing that didn't work and turn it around and make it an opportunity to get stronger? So use anything that doesn't work as a chance to grow. Any fears that come up, fear is an opportunity to learn and grow. I mean, obviously, there's healthy fears that stop you walking off the edge of a cliff or running in the road in front of a great big lorry. But the fears that stop you living your life, start questioning them. What are they protecting me from? Where did I get this belief? And start getting really, really curious. Don't just accept, I'm scared, I can't do it. In fact, don't even use the word can't. Using the word can't literally puts a wall in your way and it blocks you. You always have a choice. But yes, get really curious and start to ask questions out of all the difficulties, all the problems, all the fears, all the worries. Put them down on paper. We're back to that journaling. And ask them questions. What is this fear protecting me from? Is this true? How would I feel without it? Where did I get this belief in the first place? Is it a core belief? And if you don't think that core beliefs can be changed, just reflect for a moment on the fact that most of us used to believe in Father Christmas or fairies or something. Most of us used to believe in that with our whole hearts until we got evidence to tell us that it wasn't true, it wasn't the case. And then we changed that belief. And this shows that beliefs can be changed. The next step, and in fact, this possibly should have been at the beginning. This is a really important step. Self-compassion. Always, always have self-compassion. So recognize that you have all these feelings, but you don't need to judge them. So take away the judgment and give yourself encouragement and support. Kindly. Now, this doesn't mean giving yourself excuses not to show up for yourself because you're scared, it's hard, you're uncomfortable. It means acknowledging that you're scared, it's hard, and you're uncomfortable, and that's okay. And that this is temporary. And this is something that you can and will get through in order to grow and become the woman you want to be. Treat yourself with kindness, though. Don't criticize. If you're recovering from a restrictive eating disorder, weight gain is pretty much essential. So you don't judge yourself on the weight gain. Yes, it's essential. Yes, pretty much everybody is scared of it. And it doesn't mean anything about you. So you don't need to look in the mirror and start criticizing yourself for the weight gain. It is what it is. Don't fight with your reality. I have a stomach now. I used to have a flat stomach. I used to have a six-pack, and I don't any longer. And that it is what it is. It doesn't mean anything about me. I don't need to hate it. I don't need to be really negative, judge myself, make myself feel worthless because I don't have a six-pack and a flat stomach anymore. It just is what it is. This is my stomach now. That's it. That's the reality. And when we accept what is, life gets a lot easier. It's a lot gentler. Yeah, my body feels different. And that's that. It is what it is. It's something we say in our house all the time, actually. Whenever something goes wrong or something happens, or we don't have time to do something we want to do, or we planned a day out and it's raining, it is what it is. If you fight that reality, you're just going to exhaust yourself and it's not going to change the reality. So just accept. Look at what matters to you most. So align your own values. Reflect on what matters. Does it matter to you whether, and it's really good to look at this in response to how you feel about someone else to begin with, because most people, certainly I, wasn't able to view myself when I was in the eating disorder the way I was able to view other people. I had distorted thoughts about myself, and many of us do when we're struggling in a restrictive eating disorder. So what matters most to you? What do you value most about other people? Is it their body size? Is it how much exercise they do? It certainly wasn't for me. It was whether they were kind and authentic, whether they took the time to listen and not judge, whether they lived their life being kind to themselves, which actually I found hugely inspiring, even though I was never kind to myself. I automatically liked and felt better with people that were kind to themselves, which when I think about it doesn't make the greatest amount of sense, but it is what it is, hey? So reflect on what matters to you and what brings you a sense of purpose. I knew that I wanted to use my experiences, my journey, to help other people. And when I recovered and my life was so different, it was like I'd been living in darkness and somebody had finally opened the curtains and let the sun in. And life was so different and so incredible. And I just wanted other people to experience it, to not live in that darkness anymore. And that fulfills me so much, to be able to walk alongside and help guide people on their journeys to that transformation, to letting the sun in and turning the light on and becoming who they truly are without the rules and the restrictions and the just hellish existence that you have in an eating disorder. So my values are authenticity, kindness, freedom. Huge value is freedom for me. Fun. I never ever allowed myself to have fun. And it's so important. So look at what you want. There's even a values, if you Google values assessments, there's free ones you can get online to help you find out what your values are. And then start ensuring that your actions and decisions align with these values. Embracing self-expression. So engage in things that allow you to express your creativity and individuality. And this will often mean going against the rules of the eating disorder and sharing your thoughts and feelings honestly with people. Honesty is huge. Being honest with yourself is really, really important. And showing up for yourself is being honest with yourself. Showing up for yourself is effort. It's easy to do what the eating disorder wants you to do, to go along with the old behaviours. That's really easy. You know how to do that. You know what life living in the eating disorder is like. It takes no effort. Showing up for yourself is effort. It's like learning a foreign language. You can't just get a French-English dictionary and then expect to be fluent. You actually have to do the work. So showing up for yourself is doing the work, come what may, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's repetitive, it's over and over again, effort all the time. And this is how we change. This is how we learn in anything in life. When you first got behind the wheel of a car, you didn't know how to drive. You had to show up, you had to practice, you had to study the highway code or whatever is in your country. Showing up for yourself is that repeated practice over and over again, and not being available to taking the easy route out. This is where that loving kick up the bum comes, that you will follow your boundaries, you will turn up, you will journal, you will document your journey, you will do the things you and your coach have agreed on. No exceptions, no saying, oh, recovery's too hard today, I need a day off. We all feel like that. And yet you still have to show up. You still have to do the work, because without doing the work, you don't get to the woman you want to be. And another part of showing up for yourself that I really want to cover is that the fear, the thing you're the scared of the most, which generally is normally eating and weight gain, that's the one to focus on. That's the one you really need to do. Going all around the edges and trying to do every other healing modality possible, trying to reduce the exercise a bit or have a little bit of a meal here when you would only have had some fruit, but only doing a little bit of it, that is not showing up for yourself. That is still living in your excuses. The only way you will recover is to do the things that scare you. And fear turns to courage when you turn and face it. And despite all the threats and things the eating disorder tells you, none of that actually comes true. Yeah, you might gain weight and it will be okay. Yes, you might have to get new clothes and that will also be okay. All you're going to do, the worst thing that's going to happen is that you will feel a feeling, and you can do that. You really can. So get some help, reach out. It's a really difficult journey to do on your own. And one of the most beautiful things about having a coach is that they can call you out on your bullshit. They can show you the excuses that you're living in and help you to take the path that leads you to the person you want to be. We often can't see things from the perspective we need to see them from until somebody else shows us. So get some help, reach out, and keep showing up for yourself, even when you're scared, even when you're tired, even when it's hard, even when other things get in the way. Even actually getting help, investing in yourself, that is part of showing up for yourself. That is part of showing yourself that you are worth the investment. And it's a really important part. And actually, certainly for me and for a lot of my clients, when you have invested in yourself, it helps you show up because you've spent that money. And you will show up. It's like showing up to the gym because you paid for it, right? Or showing up for a meal because you already prepaid for it, or to go to the cinema even though you're tired because you've prepaid for the ticket. When you have invested in yourself to recover, you are much more likely to show up because you don't want to waste your money. So honestly, do everything you can, including journaling, lots and lots of journaling, because you get so much more clarity when you put things down on paper. The thoughts don't spiral and warp and distort. They're there, they're on paper, and you can look at them and step back and be the observer of the thoughts rather than the thoughts themselves. You can do this. And sometimes it does take tough love, as well as gentle love and supportive love. I'm here. Reach out. I know this has been a different episode to normal. It's been much more, tough love. And sometimes that's what we need. All of us. Even though we're all crying out for that gentle, nurturing love, which comes too and is really important. But sometimes we just need to be tough with ourselves as well, but in a compassionate way, not in a bullying way, not in a mean way, in a loving, compassionate, and firm way to take us to become the person we want to be and the person I know you are capable of being. So much love, and thank you for listening. Do message me, send me any questions. I actually really love to use your questions to create episodes, so please do send me the questions or any comments. And please do rate this podcast 5 stars and share it with others. Thank you so much. Lots of love.